this chaos. 1,000 people in an iron box. 18 years I've hated a train. 18 years I've waited for this moment.
Welcome to What the Flick, everybody. I'm Matt Atchity. This is Christy Lemire. That's Alonzo Duralde. We are getting around finally. We are late to the train on Snowpiercer. Would you like to describe it, Alonzo?
I would love to. So it's the latest from Bong Joon Ho, who gave us The Host and Mother, but not the stupid Host with Saoirse Ronan, the good one with the Korean monsters. Anyway, so it's the future, and we're fucked because apparently, in an attempt to stave off global warming, we've created a new ice age, and all of humanity is living on a super train that is making its way around the world over and over again. And if you're up in first class, that's awesome, but if you're in the back, not so good. It's a big metaphor, but it's very exciting. Check it out.
This is your world. The train saved humanity.
The engine lasts forever. The population must always be kept in balance.
I said sit down.
This is disorder.
We're going to the front. Open the gate.
We know you well, Mr. Curtis. We've been watching you.
Precisely 74% of you shall die.
Everybody back!
I'm not a leader.
You're already a leader.
This movie is badass. I love this movie so much. It is so full of surprises. It keeps changing. And just when you think you've seen every cool thing you can, they get to another car and another car. And I don't want to tell you anything about it. I want you to just see it because every new place is its own new world and it's beautifully detailed. And
It's a stylish movie and it's smart and, you know, like I said, it's a big honkin' metaphor, but it's an interesting one and it's certainly a relevant one. And I like the way that they use kind of action movie tropes to sort of engage you in a thing that is really about much larger issues with larger consequences in a way.
Yeah, I want to tell people who are on the fence about this movie, I think all of us are going to recommend seeing it, right?
Yes.
But it's hard to talk about this without getting a little bit into describing it. So again, like if you're at all on the fence about this, absolutely watch this movie and then come back and watch what we're going to talk about. Because I think that you want to be surprised about this. Now that being said, I'm not as wild about this, I think, as you guys are. And I think part of it is I feel like the movie splits the difference between really stylized and going down the zone of like the Ray Bradbury type short story that kind of abandons the idea of making any sense. And yet the movie tries to set up some ideas of like how this would be realistic. And I don't think that was really necessary. You know, one of the main characters that John Hurt plays is named Gilliam, right? Which is an obvious call out to things like Brazil and the kind of dystopic futures that Gilliam does that when you think and start picking them apart, they may not make any sense. And I kind of didn't want this movie to go that way. Like I didn't want this movie to really throw me any bones on how this would make sense. Like as far as the world it sets up.
So you either wanted like more explanation or none whatsoever?
I kind of wanted none whatsoever. Like I wanted there to be like the opening, like here's how we got here, and some of the ideas that, you know, setting up how this would be a conceivable world. I didn't care. Like I was fine with the metaphor and the allegory that it's doing.
Sure.
I think that was really effective and kind of setting up how this would make sense and how this would be realistic, I think is completely unnecessary.
But in order to function as a representation of our recognizable world, it has to make sense. It has to have some level of realism in terms of what happens in each of the cars.
Sure.
Right? And how each of the cars allows the whole entirety to function.
I mean, I kind of felt like there was just enough to sort of keep you from spending too much time thinking about it. Like just to sort of like, keep looking over there, we got it covered, you know, that sort of thing. If there's a thing that keeps me from completely loving this movie, I would say I find the ending problematic. And I am willing to think that maybe I'll see this again in a year or two and I'll find that it works more for me. At the time, I was kind of thinking,
Like the absolute last shot of
Well,
it?
the last shot, but even the part leading up to that, it starts raising a lot of questions of wait, how did and then on top of that, there's the notion of what are you saying exactly with this ending? Like, what if we're to take the ending in the same spirit with which we've taken the allegory of the rest of the film? What's that message? You know, so that where it lost me a little, but I was so into it. This is his Bong's first film in English, but it's co-written by Kelly Masterson, who wrote the amazing Before the Devil Knows You're Dead a few years back, which if you've never seen, I can't recommend enough.
The last Sidney Lumet film?
Yes, yes,
Yeah.
with Philip Seymour Hoffman and Ethan Hawke. But yeah, this movie is so gorgeous and smart and unsettling, and you have Chris Evans giving a full-on movie star performance.
Unrecognizably so. I think if you've seen him in all the Captain America films or the Avengers thing, I didn't realize it was him for a while.
Wow.
Because I didn't know a lot going into it. Just
okay.
the way
Good.
he looks, and just his character. Like, there's a substance and a depth.
Yeah.
Go ahead, yeah.
And no, but he's so great. Like, I knew he was in it. I knew that Tilda Swinton, who is amazing, was in it.
Almost completely unrecognizable.
Right.
in this.
Right, but playing with that, and I knew that that a couple other actors, but then there were the whole other subcast. Is like, oh wait, and she, and he, that were total surprises. I won't give those away.
I don't want to give away who's running the train. I don't want to give it away.
But it was what's his name from Billy Elliot.
Yeah, Jamie Bell.
Jamie Bell, who's very good in this.
He's great in it.
But with what you learn at the end of the film, either he needed to be younger or Chris Evans needed to be older.
Are they about the same age?
They're not exactly, but they're not gapped enough for what we find out later. But anyway.
It is
Yeah, but when
gorgeous.
you're living in the back of the train, everybody looks shitty.
That's
Right, they're all
true,
covered
yes,
in
you're
soot.
right.
but it's gorgeous in really varied ways. Like the back part of the train is really bleak and really monochromatic and very
it's
gritty
like
and
Dr.
textured.
Zhivago when they stuff everybody into the boxcar and they ship them out to Siberia.
And then the lighting is wondrous. As they get to each new level, each new world that they reveal, they're all totally beautifully well thought out worlds from like a production and costume standpoint, from lighting, and just like a lot of care went into making this look really, really cool and really varied.
And what they see out the window too.
Right,
the
that's true,
remains of our world covered in snow, are pretty amazing. And I guess the whole car-to-car thing makes it sound like it's got some sort of video game quest structure where they have to, which arguably I guess it does, but it doesn't feel that doesn't feel like a bad thing. It doesn't feel like it's just a sort of road. Okay, well, they got to get to this. I mean, you're not just sort of ticking them off. Each thing is its own interesting little sub-adventure.
I actually didn't feel the video game thing at all. It actually started making me think of Alice in Wonderland. Like as they move along, the world gets increasingly weirder.
Actually, it reminded me too of Apocalypse Now.
Yeah.
Or the Wizard of Oz, even in that he's
Apocalypse Now is a great one.
In
right?
that he's on this journey. The closer
guy.
he gets to his destination, the more dangerous and the more strange it gets.
Well, and almost like Apocalypse Now Redux too, right? Like there's like these.
It's 40 minutes longer.
Well,
there's a dinner with the French people.
well, but that's the thing, right? Like there's, I mean, I don't want to give anything away, but there's certain elements, certain cars they get to, and especially one with Allison Pill. Like that particular area was just so out there and so disturbing because it's almost normal, and then some of the stuff they talk about is really disturbing.
And there is a dinner, now that you mention it. There is a dinner that's very surreal and very discomforting.
Right.
Yes.
So I mostly like this. I think that the execution of what they do is very good. I just like, I think that some of the ideas, some of the way the story is set up, I think could have been done. And I'm there with you on the ending. I think that they dropped the ball a little bit on the ending.
Okay, I'm okay with the ending. So I look at it as a rebirth of sorts, whatever. Okay, so numbers, friends, Matt Atchity.
7.5.
I'm going to go 8.2. This is not a perfect film, but it's a terrific one, and people should totally see it.
8.5. I totally dug it. It's available on VOD, so you can sit in the comfort of your own home and watch it right now and be blown away.
But if you live somewhere where you can see it on the big screen, do that.
Do that. Our average is 8.1, and it's
in the 90s on the tomato meter.
It's super high. So I know we're totally hyping this up, but
it's worth seeing.
It's really different and really
It's
cool.
different
Check it out.
than a lot of what we get to see.
It's a total original.
and if you want a summer action movie that isn't a summer action movie, this is the thing.
It's not about comic book characters, although it stars Captain America.
This is a long winter.
It is.
Enjoy. Bye.